welcome everybody. Welcome back to another episode on Errmal's Realm server. I am Errmal. We are going to talk today about some of the changes that have happened. I haven't released a video in a long time. My apologies. I'm sorry about that. So what we're going to do today, though, is they're not going to go show all the different builds that have happened since the last time we've been on the single-player world. That's been too many. Instead, we are going to talk about how I've added in all of the builds that I've ever done on any other world into one mega world. I used MCA selector. I think I have a video out about how I did that, but I want to show you the results of bringing in all of the things that I built on other servers and other worlds into the same file. There's some funniness, there's some awesomeness, but I want to get into it quickly. There's of course some ways that it's great to have old chunks in a new world, and there's ways that it's not so great, but we'll definitely get through those things. One of the things we won't necessarily get into in this video is, like I said, all of the new things. You might be able to see the pale oak, which is newish. You might be able to see some additions to the zoo. I got some bigger trees in the background. And see like a bazillion chunks in each direction, by the way, and this is just a lot of fun when I play on single player. It's the Realms world. It's just I'm on a single player snapshot of it right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to a map, and we're going to take a look at the map, and then we're going to get it back into Minecraft once all that's done. All right, let me get some sleep. Okay, here is the map. This is in a tool called MCA selector. You can see up in the top left hand, way up there. I don't know how well it shows up, but I'll go ahead and read it for you. It is the MCA selector 2.4.2 with a bunch of stuff. So I was standing on this rock, and we looked north. We saw the llama. We saw the pale oak. And I kept turning, and we saw the zoo. It's cool because it shows you the map. These chunks that you're looking at are 1.19 chunks. So they weren't originated with the deep slate, and they weren't originated with super tall mountains. So all the land in this area is that old style, kind of between the old pyramids. Okay, I'm going to scroll out. I'm using the scrolly wheel to scroll out. You can follow this road. I love my paths. If anybody has ever followed Errmal, Errmal loves his paths. Okay, and this is like the transition point where we start going from 1.19, 1.20 chunks all the way back to Bedrock chunks. And I'll fly over there and I'll show you these chunks in a moment in Minecraft, but I kind of want you to get your head around what I did with copying and pasting chunks. Right? You highlight chunks, you can hit delete, you can hit copy, you can do all the things. So I copied chunks from other files into here. This is a Lego statue, and that's where we're going to start when we actually get back into Minecraft. So as we go up from there, we enter 1.8 chunks. This is the original world that I had in Bedrock. Even before it was Bedrock, this world was from Xbox 360. My original base is well, it's been torn down, but back in the day it was in this area. But now all my storage and stuff is in this thing here, and I refer to this base as the mall. It doesn't matter what I call it. You'll see it all as we move forward. But it was cool to be able to copy all those in here. 1.8 chunks don't have andesite, granite, diorite. The original Minecraft map was plus 1500 to minus 1500 in both ways. And it was limited. You couldn't go past that. And so that line was somewhere, I can't remember exactly where. Now, eventually on Xbox 360, I explored more as the maps are allowed to get larger. But the original stuff, right? That's the one I wanted to copy over. Yeah, so this is my mall area. This is my mall base. We'll see that low. This is my industrial tower, my mob museum, Hogwarts, the unfinished Hogwarts. Okay, we're gonna get through those. We're gonna keep moving. So 1.8 chunks. Follow this road. Follow this road. We're gonna follow it up to nope. It doesn't really matter because they're gonna meet again. We're going to follow this road. This is how I know where I'm at. And then it's like, boom, all of a sudden things look different. And that's because over time we've had different, it expanded from that 1500 to 1500 back on Xbox 360. It created these chunks. I've deleted some. I added these chunks. But now we're going to get out of 1.8. So this is the end of 1.8. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. You can see, and you'll see it with our own eyes when we go into Minecraft view, that yeah, there's sometimes it's when you copy in chunks and it's not super awesome. All right, but then we move into this chunk. This is a mushroom biome from the Zcraft server. It's got Zcraft season 6. This is Legends of Zelda. Oh, sorry, Legends of Zeldath. It's because we were clever. It's got my Relic Run game. It had a little footprint on the top, but the Relic Run game actually takes up this space here. If I didn't build it, I tried to get rid of it. So there was some other games I got rid of. I left this one. This one I did not build. It's a Strider racing game. I just left that because that was easier. This here is from Zcraft Gaming District Season 6. And again, this has got a small footprint on the top, but it big down underneath. What did I call that? It was my It Takes Two game. You had to have 2 players. It were puzzles. And it went out under the water, so it was about yay big. And I decided I'll put all of those things from the Zcraft Gaming Districts next to each other. And this game was not next to Zelda in that world. I put them next together when I copied them into this world. Okay, now just to poke at some things, you can see how kind of like steeply this goes up, because the 1.20 says, hey, this is going to be a tall mountain. But the chunks I pasted in from season, these ones I'm circling an hour, season 5, right, they were water. And so the algorithm, the Minecraft algorithm, sloped it, did all that sloping for me. So I didn't do any of that sloping. It still looks nice when you look at it and you fly around. You can tell sometimes, but it's not super obvious. Okay, then you come down to where the frog farm is. That's something that was new. That just happens to be where the thing is in the nether. If you know about frog lights, you have to do that in the nether. So this is the overworld version of that. Just happens to be out here in the middle of all this. Okay, but this path comes down. I added this path after it was on my realm, obviously, to my Zcraft Season 5 base. You may or may not remember it. It's a big gorilla in a pit, and I called it Errmal National Park, and I had fun little things to look at as you walked around. I'll show you that later. But that's cool. Zcraft Season 5. That would have been 1.19 as well, before the big mountains and stuff. So at least those the spawn, when the algorithm creates them, is similar to what it was. Also on Zcraft Season 5, I had a zoo. And this is exactly where it was. So all this river and all this stuff I copied just this whole thing over from Season 5. Okay, but then Zcraft Season 6 got over with. And I built a lot of stuff in an acacia biome, and there was a big acacia biome here naturally, although it didn't have all the water. You can kind of see maybe where I pasted in things. And then again, Minecraft itself tries to slope those things for me. Like I'm not doing all this terraforming. I have to do some, and I can show you what I do and where I do that. This is a llama that I made in the shopping district in Season 6. This is the Mob Museum that was along the Western Ocean Path in Season 6. Some other funny things that were along the path. This was my main base in Season 6. Copied right over. Some other fun things that was along the path. I just copied from the path here. I didn't want to copy the whole Western Ocean Path. That's like 2,000 by 2,000 or something. I'm not going to do that. But it's fun because now we're all in the same file. And then it loops back through just unadulterated terrain. Over here, there's the actual breeze farm. I don't have it marked here, but there's a breeze farm that's underneath there in another trial chamber. Okay, so it's boring. Now it's boring. Now it's boring. Now it's boring. Now it's boring. But it's kind. This is all the space that I have here to paste in. Oh, you got to use the right clicky. Zcross even 7 is going on right now. I've built something on there. Those things that I built that I want to copy over once, the season's over and they release the file. These are kind of the areas. I have all this area to put those things. So my goal is, let's get back to my main house now. These are other people's builds. Back to my main house. I'm actually going to stay zoomed out because I want to try to give an idea on where I'm going with all this. This island, not really an island, but we'll call it this continent that I'm circling. That is the main base continent, right? Everybody gets together and we like to have fun on the current realms. I want all of my history to be to the north, right? There's it is again, to the north and to the east. So these chunks are reserved. When I want to copy something in from another world, it goes there. So if these people are like, well, I don't want to play on your old stupid stuff that you did on your other stupid things without me, they cannot go. They can choose to go other directions. When I need to say, wow, there's a new update, and I want to spawn in new chunks, down into the west. Explore it as much as you want if you're on the server. I've trimmed them just recently. I don't know why these ones don't look trimmed. But I will trim them every so often. So after you've explored them, let me know. We can go through and zap them so that the next Minecraft update comes out, we can get those things updated, and these will be new chunks. I've left this area. This is a part of an area that I want to keep recreating. Go ahead and clean it up. But it had this beautiful mountain with the beautiful white tops, with the beautiful pink on the inside. A lot of people have seen these on their worlds. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know that I want to delete that. Maybe I'll build a base over there within that space at some point. It's one of those just really cool, pretty things. And I don't know, I might, because this, where was it? Because this farm was so far out, I'm tempted to copy these chunks back into here maybe somewhere and make those closer, and then I can delete all those chunks. Keeping your file size a reasonable size, especially when you're on a server, is important. Now, is moving chunks around cheating? Okay, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to close out of the map. We're going to go back into Minecraft, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is what I've done here cheating. My answer to that question is complicated. I'm going to say the way I've copied chunks together is not cheating. And the reason why I'm going to say that, but it could be, I understand, and so we'll get to that, but the reason why I'm going to say I am not cheating is because, oh, hold on, look at my coolness. Oh, wrong button. It's because I built everything. I grinded for the resources, including the mall, including Hogwarts, including Errmal National Park. I'm pointing in the general direction in my world that they're at, including the other zoo, including the mob museum. I wasn't this world that I took those resources from, but if I needed stone, I dug stone. If I needed wood, I went and got wood. If I needed pick a resource, I went and got pick a resource. The thing that is iffy for me is, if I were to have copied in, say, Hermitcraft builds, which I don't necessarily think is cheating. If you want a Hermitcraft build in your world, fine, download the Hermitcraft thing, copy it in, play how you want. But I didn't build that, and if it inside that Hermitcraft build, like Cub, and he's got resources galore, and now I have infinite resources of certain types because he went and gathered them. I mean, is that cheating? If it's the way you want to play because you want to play on that world, or you really like some sort of other person's build and you get their file and you copy it in, I mean, obviously don't take credit for it on a video or something, but I mean, if that's how you want to play, is it cheating? I feel like what I've done definitely isn't, because everything that you see, I built. And so as we're going to go ahead and now fly, we're in those 1.19 chunks, we're at the Lego statue. Let's go ahead and just get flying, and I'll keep talking while we're flying because we have a little bit of time. Oh, yeah. You can see a seaweed kelp, and then no kelp. So this is the with a 1.8 chunks. There was no kelp. There's these pockets of air for whatever reason. That's true. Back on the Xbox 360, they had these pockets of air. Every once in a while, it was bugs, but that's just the way it was. I could go update those areas and get those gone. If I were to dig down here, yep, no diorite, no granite, all that stuff. There's my mall. That's my storage area. That's where we're going to land next. Eventually, when I get there. And let's fly into the storage area. Yeah, I mean, so all of this stuff is full of resources. Well, full might be a little bit of a dramatic word there, and it has some resources. But I gathered all this. If it's here, it's because I gathered it. Or, you know, I'm on a server where maybe I can go to the shopping district and buy it. You know, but I still have to go get those diamonds. Right? I still gotta go find... There's my diamonds. That's all the diamonds I have to my whole name. I could have... You know, I could go into creative mode and give myself infinite resources if I wanted to. And there's also nothing wrong with that. But how do you like to play the game? Do you like to play in creative? Then play in creative. If you want to play on a Hermitcraft server, or not necessarily on a live one, but download one of their, you know, old worlds and play on it, and make that kind of your main base and build in and around their stuff. If that's fun for you, I think that's fine. I built all this stuff. I built this tower. I did not build that base. That was somebody else's from the realm, and that was somebody else's from the realm. There's my mob museum. I built it all. You know, when we get over here, I did not build all of this. This is the community district. People built their own shops. But at the same time, I don't feel it's cheating keeping it on this world, because I still put this on realms. Because we used to have Bedrock realms, long stories. But now, if like, say, my sister who built some things, or my kids, or my friends who built some things on this world, want to get on this world again and say, oh, I built this. Like, they're not, if they know where the storage box is, if they know there's some secret in this build that they've made, well, then it's back to them. I don't necessarily come back to this shopping center very often, because there's the new stuff, right? There's when we restarted the realms on Java, there's those areas there where you can buy things from. And those people that built those can still get on and still look at the stuff that they bought. There's PvP Arena. This is the Carnival District, the old one from the 1.8 area. I love my... this is actually... Hold on, this is a good point right here. I mean, I built this, but the entire design was what Cub Fan did on Hermitcraft Season 6? 6. I'm going to say 6. Right, he built one of those, and this is the same scale. I used the same materials he did. I just thought it was a lot of fun, but I made it. I stole his idea, but I certainly made it. All right, from here, so we're in 1.8 chunks. We're gonna now go to the Zcraft chunks. Someone else's base is there in the corner. In 1.8, all of the spruce forests were snowy. But now, as these chunks stay loaded, you can see some of the snow breaking, because they're not supposed to snow anymore. So I just haven't been over there very often. That's why they're still snowing. But eventually all that snow will be gone. Yeah, baby. Yeah, so I built this. Here's the funny story. I bought a map from the villager nearby, and it said that there was a woodland mansion right here. So the map says go right here. And, you know, because as you were on an old world, and you've probably all experienced this, and the new version comes out, sometimes where the maps say things are no longer true. And so I'm like, well, I want it to be true. I want there to be a woodland mansion at these coordinates. I didn't want to build a whole big one. I thought that was kind of silly. So, but I built a small one. So here you can see where the chunk, I copied, let me see, right? You can see this line? You can see that jungle tree in the distance that seems like it's missing half of its leaves. Exactly. I've cleaned up some of those. Apparently, I missed that one. I'm seeing it just now. But all along the edges, trees don't necessarily survive well. When you're pasting in chunks using MCA selector, leave some empty chunks for the Minecraft algorithm to figure out for you. Like if there was a huge mountain right here and I put ocean next to it, then that's what you'll have. You'll have this huge cliff. Boom. And that may not be what you want. But the more chunks that you leave that are blank, so delete a little few extras. And then when you visit them for the first time, Minecraft's going to be like, oh, that chunk's not generated. Let me generate it. Oh, but it needs to be this tall on this side and this low on that side. Let me go ahead and slope that for you. And so that's why some of these are sloped pretty steeply. You can see that, when we were looking at I pointed that out when we were looking at MCA selector. I didn't slope those. It sloped those on its own. Let's get to this other side where it's a little bit more obvious how quickly it had to slope. And then again, the more chunks that you leave for it to do its algorithm, the less, so it did that. Because this was in 1.20 apparently, or 21, that's supposed to be taller, but I copied it in next to an ocean chunk, and it's like, ooh, I got to figure that out. But thank goodness it did all the figuring out, and I didn't have to. This whole world over here is mushroom biome, but we don't, on the server, we use mushroom biome, so no mob spawn, but we don't like that color, right? So then we go through and do different things, replace it with moss or whatever. I think, you just take the bone meal and you just run around with the bone meal. But some of it, as it copies in, the algorithm, the MCA algorithm saying, okay, well, you copied in Mushroom Island next to something else. Let me fill that space in. And so it filled it in with Mushroom Island, right? It didn't fill it in with the moss that we had put on top of it, because biome-wise, it continues Mushroom Island just for a little bit, and then it says, okay, I'm done copying that in for you. That's why all of a sudden it's not. Now, I've tried to clean up some of this. I decided I didn't care and decided to leave it. But for a while, I was like, well, let me edge this so that it looks more smooth, or more, not smooth, right? More natural, more jagged. But look at this straight line. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe one day I'll care and I'll come through and fix that. Some other things that I fixed manually, though, was, for whatever reason, maybe I put two chunks too close together. This area did not render well, and it tried to do all sorts of crazy things. I wish I'd saved some pictures of it to show you. You just have to believe me that it looked... I spent a lot of time putting a slope back into this between here. Yeah, you're just going to have to believe me that I did a lot of work in here. Most of the time, though, it does really good. This funny tree over there, though. There's maybe another one over there that cut a little bit, but this one got cut a lot, right? Because this was the 1.8 chunk, and this was the 1.20 chunk. And the algorithm really does good on the slope, but it doesn't necessarily do good on the trees or anything else that you might have. So, you see a lot of trees like this along the edges. I thought I cleaned them all up, but maybe there's a few. I'm not going to do it now. But I'll put that on my to-do list maybe to come and clean those up. All right, so then craft season 6. No, season 5 here. Season 5 here, Relic Run. Season 6 here with It Takes Two. Okay. And then... those are all from the Zcraft gaming districts, which is like a whole new world. It's the big Mushroom Island, if you will. Let's go take a look. We're just going to go through these super fast, because if you want to see details on these things, I think I have videos on all this stuff already out there. But yeah, now I can fly over here. Again, this wasn't even the same world before, right? You went to the gaming district, you had to go through a portal to get to the gaming district. And then this overworld is where I had my Errmal National Park. Yep, big gorilla in a hole, and the little pathways and the little left turns. It was all fun and silly and things to look at and stuff. And what was nice is, yeah, but then this guy, Zcraft Season 6. Oh, and there's the zoo, Season 5 zoo, Season 6. This was from the shopping district, which was not by my base, but there's my base right there, because when I copied them in, right, I moved them where I want. The Mob Museum from that Season 6. Now we're going through real quick. One of the biggest things I did on Season 6 was the Western Ocean Loop. And I built fun things along the loop, you know, for funsies. But I didn't want to copy all those in. I already mentioned that before. But yeah, it's crazy. Aww. Aw, it's Errmal Mountain. Aww. With purple eyes. But anyways, this is a good place to stop, and you can see that algorithm generation too, right? It doesn't want to just make it a straight line. Here again, this mountain, I think it wanted to be bigger, but then I pasted something next to it, and you can see how it's like, well, I'll gently slope that down, and that in the background, it gently sloped down to where the water was. You can see that sort of that layer over here again. It's got a pretty cool algorithm. With terrain, it's great. With trees, you got to clean stuff up, and every once in a while, it does mess up the terrain, and it didn't copy in right. That could have been a user error, but I've cleaned up all of the terrain issues. All right, so the point of this video was just to kind of show you how my cool world, my one world, right? I've been in the same file this whole time, but contains a copy of all the things that I've built in all these other worlds. Does it contain my storage, which is in that tower or that mountain right there? Well, yeah, but I gathered all those resources, so that's fine. So the point of all this was just to show you one file that has my builds from all the way back to 1.8 and going forward. I couldn't find all my old world files, so I don't have everything. I think there was some files that are out there that I couldn't find, so I couldn't copy in here. But if I ever did find them, I could copy them in. I got stuff that originated on Bedrock. I got stuff that originated on Java. This is a Java world right now. This is just a lot of fun. If you want help stepping through this, I believe I made another video about using MCA selector and using the Bedrock to Java conversion tools that are out there and the pluses and minuses of doing that. But this is the result, and I wanted to show you it. I wanted to show you that MCA map because I think it's cool. But that is all that I have time for today. Thank you for joining me. This is Errmal, and this has been Errmal's World. I appreciate y'all for watching.